Last time you guys got to meet me and a little about me, my lifestyle. Here you're going to learn a little bit about Andrew, his lifestyle, what led him up to high energy dog care and this podcast, and just about him in general. So stay tuned, and you'll hear more about that. All right, bye. So before dogs, what did you do, school, work? What was your background before getting into the crazy world of dogs?
Well, sorry. So when I was in high school, God, it's going to be a pain remembering back then. So I went to a few different high schools. I started at started at Severian Brothers, all boys school, Catholic school. Religion's not really my thing, so I didn't enjoy that aspect. The reason I went to Severian was to get away from Braintree Public Schools. Sorry, Braintree. Just because it was severe bullying. I was suicidal. The whole not to get all deep here, but I was struggling in middle school, so I was all right, let's go to Severian. We'll try that out. It was a fun experience, but I was failing out. I was miserable.
Yeah.
School wasn't really my thing, so I kind of had to just get through school. But by the time I got to junior year, Severian freshman, Braintree High sophomore, and then half of junior. And then I left Braintree High because I was gonna lose my mind. I was absolutely miserable. Then I found myself at Quincy High. My grandma lives right behind Quincy High. And so I finished my junior year there, senior year. And that is when, because that's the vocational school. So they have automotive, and the new Quincy High is crazy. It's got I don't know if you're from Hanover?
Hanover, yeah.
Yeah, but it's almost like a college campus. It's insane. But they had information technology classes at Quincy High. So I was I'm a super video game nerd. I love computers. I was super heavy into World of Warcraft at the time. I played for 12 years straight. And so I was sort of I'm into building custom computers. I mean, you saw my computer earlier. It's great. It's got water running through it. So I was all right, let me check out computers. Let me get into maybe I can make that my passion.
A career.
Yeah, I was thinking perhaps I could open my own computer store where I build custom computers for people, whatever. So I said, all right, let's look at colleges. Now again, going back to being bullied and having a hard time in school means I didn't want to be at school. Half the time, I'd be Mom, I don't feel good, and I'd stay home and just play World of Warcraft. That was a majority of So when it was time to go to college, it was choices were kind of limited. So I ended up going to Ben Franklin Institute of Technology. I got my associate's degree in computer engineering. And then, so at that time from high school, once I started at Quincy High, I got a job at a local bike shop, Anderson Bicycle. And I worked there for, I think, 7 or 8 years. Started out pretty much just putting bikes together from boxes. Because at that time, I was also super into BMX and mountain biking. If I wasn't playing World of Warcraft, I was at, the Quincy skate park. So I was all right, obviously everyone needs a job in high school and college and whatnot. So I was doing, at least there, I was doing something I very much enjoyed. I was passionate about bicycles, especially at that time. So that was a super awesome experience. Sorry, let me just catch my breath for a second.
Okay.
So that was a family-owned shop, just Paul and his wife Karen. So I got to learn everything. Eventually, a couple years in, I started they were having me help them with orders. Eventually got to the point like they'd go on vacation, I'd run the store alone. So like I'd say their trust in me and just their like the amount of effort that they put into me, like they helped me kind of like learn how to run a business.
That's cool.
So it was like, all right, here's something I love. I'm learning every day. Like it was great. Did that for 8 years. Up until, so I went to BFit, still working at the bike shop, which was seasonal anyway. Like I'd work like May to like November, and then like a couple winter months off. So I'm doing that, doing school, graduate, BFit again, 2 years, associates. And then I stayed at the bike shop for a few more years just while I was kind of like, all right, what do I like want to do?
Yeah.
Eventually, so one of the customers at the bike shop worked for a company that I won't name. We'll get into that. Yeah. There's plenty fun details there.
Fun.
But we worked at one of the BU campuses, which I won't name the particular one, just to like be discreet. And that was like my first like real, like, I don't know, as my parents call it, my first big boy job. And it's like, you know, like I got that. We just moved into like our first apartment, Sam and I. So like life was like feeling like, all right, we're doing it. And the whole while, this whole time from, you know, sophomore year to like 23-ish, it's like craving a dog, wanting a dog, can't have a dog, not ready for a dog. Which looking back on it, it's like I'd argue tooth and nail with my parents. I would be so furious at them. And it's like, no, I mean, I couldn't, looking back, it's like, thank God they didn't cave, because I was not in any shape to handle a dog. So working at one of the BU sites. So I didn't work for BU. BU contracted our company to do IT stuff. So I just want to make sure I don't put any weird details so that I get in trouble. While I was working there, I started off kind of like the lowest level, like tech, you know, like people would call me, my computer's not working. Oh, did you try restarting it? But very, very quickly, I was sort of, not rising through I mean, it was a small operation. There was only like 5 of us, but like very fast learning it. You know, by the time I quit, I was coding, like automated like pretty much my entire job so that like I didn't have to do my job. It was kind of sweet. But I was like lacking a purpose. Like,
You were bored.
yeah, it was easy work. I enjoyed the work, but it was a kind of toxic work environment. And B, I didn't feel like, I don't know, there's only so many times I can like run over and help somebody with like a keyboard not working before I just like can't take it anymore. I just felt like here I am like 25. I think I quit when I was 26. I only worked like 3 years there. But I was just like, all right, it's been 3 years. It's felt like 10. I can't do this. I was commuting into Boston on the train. It was pretty miserable. And I'd say like 6 months before I quit, maybe, my parents were finally like, all right, you can get a dog. We feel like you're at that point now. You know, you got your job, you're making enough money, you know, you've moved out. We were living here. We've been living here for like 7 years now, I think. 6 years. So, like, all right, you can finally get a dog. hell yeah. So I get a border collie, which at the time when I was working at that last job, one of my clients knew, she was childhood friends with a breeder in Pennsylvania, Plum Hollow Border Collies.
There you go.
And so it was kind of easy to just like find them and like get a good healthy puppy. So I lucked out actually with that. So that was Bailey. She was my first pup. The woman who knew the breeder since a childhood, she was going down there for vacation. She's like, I'll bring you home a pup. I'm like, awesome. Here's the one. Like, picked it out. She brought it home, and it was love at first sight. But that's where like I really started to hate my BU job. Mm-hmm. Again, didn't work for BU. Nothing against BU. More at the actual company I worked at. But yeah, so I'm commuting into Boston. Again, driving to Quincy Center T, taking the red line to Boston, working I think it was 9 to 5:30, taking the T home, exhausted, and it's like, all right, 4-month-old border collie. So luckily my parents were taking Bailey during the day, but she was still like a crazy puppy. You know, they weren't doing what I do. You know, they'd bring her to her house. Sorry, my mom would bring Bailey to her house, and by the time I'd get home, she definitely didn't have enough stimulation. So it was like, it was just too much. So finally, like 2 months later, she's 6 months old. I'm like, I can't do this anymore. Mm-hmm. On top of weird issues at work where I was just like, all right, I'm out. So long story short, I quit that job, just walked out. And it was sort of like, all right, let's take like a month off. I'm not going to look for a job. Let me just like enjoy Bailey. So I was walking her every day, doing like everything with her. And like, I was so in love with her. Like I just wanted to like spend every moment with her. So I was just like, all right, how can I spend every moment with her? Like, I don't want to be going back to an office.
Yeah. Is that how you came up with your business?
Yeah. And I was like, I don't trust anyone. Like, it's because there's a couple places nearby, and like I was on the fence of like sending her, but it's like, I don't know what's the point? Like, why have a border collie if I'm not gonna like do anything with it? So I was pretty much like, let me just centralize my entire life around her and see what we can do. So I want to say it took like 3 months from when I quit my job at BU that wasn't BU, but at BU, before I started to like get the idea of, all right, maybe we can do like some type of dog walking service. Or I didn't even know what I wanted to do at first. I just knew like something with dogs. I kind of toyed with the idea of doing like, all right, I'll drive to your house, walk your dog. And I had one dog that I was doing that with, but I quickly was just like, all right, this is like gonna be irritating once I get busy, I felt, with just like all the running around. Mm-hmm. So I was like, all right, let me just do like doggy daycare where I'll like pick them up and just bring them out. So that's where I basically got the idea. And that was like 3 years ago. So prior to that, no real dog experience. And now I feel like I know so much, but I still have so much to learn.
Did you find it hard starting up at first, or?
Yeah, it took a while. So funny story. I assume you're familiar with like WAG and Rover and those. So I started on Rover, where I met Kylie, who was my first client. little cattle dog. And so she messaged, the owner messages me on Rover. Hey, we're interested. Can we work something out? So I'm like, yeah, sure. And with those apps, like, they typically want you to schedule through the app because they charge like a small fee. So if Kylie wanted a day, the owner would log in, like request it through the app, pay the price, and then like Rover would get a cut. So we just started texting, not through Rover, but through like just text messages.
Yeah.
And I get an email one day saying like your account's been suspended because we saw that you were like messaging outside. So A, it seems like they were reading my messages,
That's
which is
crazy.
kind of freaky. But B, they were just like, yeah, you can't do that. So I got one client off Rover. Kylie, $30 I think I was charging at the time for a full day. Now it's $45. I want to say for 2 months, I watched Kylie for $30 a day on Thursdays. So that's $120 a month for 2 months. So I made $240 my first 2 months, roughly.
And that's honestly not that bad. And your price now isn't really that bad to talk about it.
So, and to kind of paint a picture now, it's like I've got a wait list and I literally like can't take any more dogs. So it took time, to grow. I'd say the probably comes from the bike shop. This is going to be weird, but so when I was working at the bike shop, there was a lot of retail. Basically, I would be repairing bikes. A customer walks in, I might have to stop repairing bike to go help them, maybe look for a bike, look for a helmet, whatever. And I was never like super pushy with like, oh yeah, what about like, yeah, you look great in this. Like I was always very just like, like don't feel any pressure to buy, very low pressure salesman. And so I think from all that with the dogs, I don't do like heavy advertising. It was mostly like word of mouth. So it was a slow buildup, but it was a buildup of like consistent good clients who like we built a really good relationship. Pretty much, all of them. I think like all of them I consider like family. Loucas, his mom's put me in their will. Like if anything happens to them, you get our dog. We don't care if you agree or not. So yeah, it was a wild ride getting to the point where, I was, I guess, stable.
Was Sam okay with all this from the beginning too, or? Yeah,
she was, because it started off slow. So like for the first year and a half, I'd have 4 dogs, including Bailey. So it was nice. It was good company. It wasn't anything like crazy. And now it's like I'll have 10, and it's like dogs everywhere. We go to the park, we come home, and it's like trying to get to the kitchen. It's like going through a minefield, stepping through all the dogs. But she's a good sport because sometimes they get muddy. They come home, they get them, and like it takes a lot to deal with that. I feel, especially if you're not that she's not a dog person, but she's not like as crazy a dog person as I am, obviously, because like everything I do is dogs. She actually has a life, so so I got to give her a lot of credit for A, putting up with it, and B, being so supportive. She gives me a lot of help. Like she feeds the dogs. If I got a migraine, she'll help me pick them up, drop them off. So she's a huge, huge part of the business.
So I know you've always loved dogs and had some dogs growing up. Did you have any other animals or?
Yeah, so kittens growing up, I was young enough where I don't really remember it. It's more of like, yeah, we had cats, but I don't really remember the actual experience. Hamsters, which I very quickly got over just because I don't know, they're
Ferocious little beings.
yeah, they freak me out. Like, you'd stick your hand in, and I'd always get this sort of, you're gonna climb in my hand, or you're gonna bite me with those nasty teeth. Like, I'm good. But then on the flip side, gerbils I had, much prefer them. They're way more social. Mm-hmm. Instead of a little nice peel-off tail, they got the nice long tail. It's cute. Anytime, like I would, because I lived in the basement, so it was like nice and dark for them. And I come home from work, flip the light on, and they would know. And they'd come burrowing out like, oh, and you'd see them like standing up on their hind legs, like, you know, it's cute. You put your hand in, they kind of check you out. They enjoy you. So they were fun. Especially considering that they are, I don't know. I feel like hamsters and gerbils, I don't know, they're like kid pets. I don't want to come off that way, but they're like very good for getting children into animals, maybe. There's not much to them.
Yeah.
You don't have to do much. So
It's just the cleaning and...
yeah, so for me, it was like, all right, like, I enjoy you, but I need, like, something a bit more.
Yeah.
Like, I need something I can snuggle and cuddle. Yeah. Always had fighting fish as a kid. Not much to say on that other than they're pretty.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure we probably killed them all really early because I'm, as a kid, bad with animals. Not like you. I had no idea what I was doing. Lots of fish flushed down the toilet. Chinchillas were really cool. A little bit more hands-on and interactive than the gerbils. Mm-hmm. Pretty gross with the amount they poop. Like, they just walk and poop constantly.
Yep.
They could walk from here to the other wall, and there's going to be 50 droppings.
Yep.
Super cute, though. I miss, like, watching the dust baths. And
yeah.
Yeah, they were fun. Maya and Micah. Hedgehog, Mr. Scruffy. He had a sad ending. Wobbly hedgehog syndrome. Not fun. What exactly, do you know much about that?
Not much, just because I haven't really personally owned hedgehogs, but I'd see them at the wildlife center that I interned at. There was one that had like no eyes, and all he would do is run on the wheel because that's all he knew. His cage and his wheel. But I believe it's some neurological disorder that I believe it's congenital. So not 100%, but
yeah, he like slowly died. It was not fun. But yeah, Scruffy. He loved his wheel. He would just constantly you'd hear him all night. Had a gecko.
What type of gecko? Do you know?
Yeah, let's think. Maybe about the size of this remote, so like 6 inches.
Maybe a leopard gecko is common. Crested geckos,
yeah,
they stick on the wall.
Yeah, he had these almost cool eyelashes.
Crested gecko.
Okay, he was like earthy brown.
Yep.
Beautiful eyes.
Oh, yeah, they have really cool eyes.
So fascinating. Yeah, ended up giving him to my younger brother when I moved out. I was not a huge fan of the whole cricket aspect. Just, I don't know. I couldn't be bothered, I guess. It was just like...
I hate crickets. When I fed them to my tarantulas, I'd always have like one or two escape, and I look, and you could hear them.
I know.
Yep. Were you scared of any animals?
Chimps, we covered.
Yep.
For a variety of reasons of their savages. Anything that can like lurk. So like we used to go to vacation every summer to Lake Sebago.
Oh, I love Sebago.
Huge. Yeah, absolutely huge. We take like pontoon boats out, to the middle of the lake, jump in, and even though that's a lake, not even the ocean, it was always this feeling of like there might be something lurking below. So like any scenario where I can't really see like what's around me, just no thanks. Mm-hmm. Whether it's like swampy areas where there might be snakes, crocodiles that you can't like anything like that, no thanks.
You're lucky that there's nothing really in Massachusetts, crocodiles or snakes that.
It's perfect, yeah.
But snapping turtles, stepping in some muck in the water.
Yeah.
I was always scared of my toes getting bit off. And my grandparents have a house in Lakeville, original,
Yeah.
And the water is somewhat murky in some areas, and I'm like, if I step here, I'm gonna get my toe bit off,
Right. Yeah. So yeah, most anything like that. So I know you would like run into the river and jump on the crocodile, right?
Yep.
So I would say that I would be respectfully fearful of like the crocodile incident. I'll stay back 20 feet, 30 feet and record, but I'm not going to get into the water necessarily myself. I'll just bring a really long lens and stand way back. We're just very weak. Like again, in the ocean, we're not getting away from anything.
No.
Like, if you've seen, the orcas, like
we're not gonna outswim them.
They go so fast, it's not even fair. And I know that like humans aren't necessarily targeted, but it's still just the thought of there's nothing I can do. Same with if I'm running away from pack of hyenas, I'm not gonna get away. Running away from a bear, I'm not gonna get away.
No.
Climbing a tree from a bear, I'm not gonna get away.
No.
So anything, I just have to know. Like anytime I go hiking, all right, let's know where we're going and like what to expect. Luckily around here, there's not much like planning that we have to really, but if I'm going to like, if you're bringing me to Australia and we're going on some expedition, I need to know exactly what potentially lives where so that I can kind of gauge how I need to, tread. But yeah, I'd say I'm pretty...
So you're more respectful.
Yeah, I'm not trying to be like. So it's weird if say we were at a zoo and like an alligator broke out and it was going after someone. I know this is such a bizarre scenario, but like I'd maybe jump on it to like save someone, but I'm not going to go into its habitat and mess with it personally, because I don't know how to mess with them correctly. I know I'm just gonna lose an arm. Anything that's hidden, stealthy. So pretty much everything. pretty much everything.
Mainly predators, you know.
Yeah, like even seaweed in the ocean scares me. It rubs up against me and I'm like, we gotta get out. No thanks.
Oh my God.
But yeah, pretty much, I guess I know my place in the food chain and it's at the bottom. Unless I have a gun, which I don't. So, nope,
Still
I'm at the
bottom.
I'm at the bottom, yeah. I'll respectfully stay at the bottom. And actually, I'll add one more specific animal. Well, dog being animal, but specifically like Kangal. Anything with like crazy bite power. Like I'm not trying to mess with that. Even if they're super friendly. I want to be super respectful because, you know, dogs like that can just like do a lot of damage.
Oh yeah.
Really quick.
Oh yeah.
Which I've never even seen one in person. A Kangal.
I don't think I've seen one either.
Yeah, but they have I guess the strongest bite. So they freak me out because I don't want to get bit by one of them, and I've been bit. I've been bit.
So, worst experiences, and we'll go from there. What has been your experience with being bit? Being a dog carer, dog walker?
It's tough. Yeah, being bit's not. Have you been bit?
Oh, yeah, multiple times.
Probably by more than dogs too, right?
Mainly cats. I think.
Oh, interesting.
I've only had one dog bite that broke the skin, and then like 3-4 cat bites that have done
With
some damage.
Cats, do you have to do like rabies stuff?
So
If
anything
it's
that's
an
not up to date on rabies, so cat, dog, ferret, anything that
Okay.
requires rabies vaccine. You have to do rabies shots. When I was a kid, had to do the rabies series because I caught a bat, and I didn't want anyone to cut its head off because that's how you test for rabies.
Really?
Oh yeah, so when you submit an animal to get
So you
rabies
quarantine?
tested, they kill it and cut the head off and send it to a lab.
Why is it brain?
It's brain
Okay.
related. It goes a virus to your brain. So I didn't want it. I caught it and I was trying to get it out of the house. And as I was throwing it out of the house, it like ricocheted like a boomerang almost, and it landed back on me. And when I was grabbing it to pull it off of me, that's when it bit me. But I didn't say anything, so I threw it again out the door. And then my mom found out like a couple days later, and we were literally heading to Point Sebago.
Oh, really?
And she was pissed because I had to go get the rabies vaccine series.
That's the campground. Sorry to interrupt you, right?
Yeah.
That's the campground we went to too.
Yeah,
Just
I love that
funny.
place.
Yeah, the place is awesome. Little go-karts and everything.
Oh yeah, I had to do half my series there. You're supposed to get like 7 shots at once on the first day, and then like I think it's like 3 or 4 days later you need to do 2 or 3. She was not happy to sit.
Experience.
We were literally leaving that the next day, and we were at the ER until like 2 a.m. that day of, and she was so pissed. I was like, sorry, I had to tell you, but but yeah, so mainly things like cat bites, you worry about they have a lot of bacteria in their mouth, so you're more likely to get infected bite from them than from dogs. So unfortunately, most of my bites have been cats because they're psycho sometimes at the vets. I mean, I'm sure some of you guys have had crazy cats that have been told that they need meds to come into the vet, or they need to be sedated,
Yep. Yeah,
But dogs aren't.
My
too
cats don't like the vet. Although they're interestingly pretty calm in the sense of like if you get them by the scruff, they're for some reason mine are kind of chill
out.
Yeah. But I've seen so many videos of cats like when they get freaked out and they'll like run on walls and they're crazy. Yeah.
We had a crazy one today for just a sedated exam and rabies vaccine, and that thing was like launching itself at us, and we had to get it down with some sedated. It had to be fully sedated for an exam.
Wow.
Yeah, so that's a once a year pet.
Thinks it's a lion.
Yeah.
Yeah, being bit by a dog when you're like so into dogs is hard. Obviously it hurts. Like
It can throw a lot of people off.
yeah, there's no question about it. It hurts. So one thing that always tripped me up whenever I'd watch like a movie or God, I think it's a Stephen King movie. I can't remember, but this dog keeps not Cujo, but there's another movie. I think this guy like chains his wife to the bed, but then a dog keeps coming back and like haunting the house. But I was always like, oh, just go kick the shit out of the dog, just beat it up. And after like the first time I got bit by a dog, I'm like, that's not happening.
No.
Like they're just way too strong. And like just the way they can move, like you just can't. There's not much you can do.
Yeah. It's very hard to be faster than a dog.
Yeah. So it's gonna hurt. There's no question about it. Even little nips can hurt.
Oh yeah.
You know, if it doesn't like break the skin. So I've been bit 6 times over 3 separate incidents between 2 separate dogs. So one dog bit me 5 times and another dog bit me once. I guess we start with the German Shepherd that bit me because that's the one bite. So I was at the dog park, local dog park, Stoddard's Neck. And when you go to that park, there's a lot of room. There's plenty of room for everybody to have enough space for them and their own dog. I don't know how many acres it is, but it's quite a few.
Yeah. It's a decent size.
So like if I'm there with a pack of 6 dogs, which I think I had that night, I can easily find a location where I'm sort of not bothering anyone, nobody's bothering me, and we can have a fun, safe time. So we were up in the middle of the park is a kind of big hill, just for anyone that's not familiar. Around this hill is a path. I think it's like a quarter mile, which I think is like a track and field distance almost.
I think so. The whole place is a half mile.
Oh, is it a half? Okay.
So if you do 2 loops, it's 1 mile.
1 mile. Okay.
Yeah.
So a half a mile peninsula, big hill in the middle. So I'm up on the hill, which it's a good spot in my opinion because the noise is going to travel. My guys are super loud. I've got a Springer Spaniel, a cattle dog, border collie, like all these working dogs. So if you get a ball out and we're working, they're loud. So up on the hill, that at least lets people know, hey, there's dogs up there barking and being crazy, which turns a lot of people off and they avoid it, which is a whole nother separate. There's a lot. I'd say a majority of the people, when they see barking dogs, get scared, especially when it's a pack. So they'll just look up the hill, hear that, see dogs, and think, "All right, biscuit, let's go. We are not messing with that." So it's very easy to, I guess, be left alone if people are nervous. However, some people, they will talk to anyone. And so I had this guy with his German Shepherd come up the hill and wanted to like kind of join the pack for play. Now, this is a guy I have seen there prior to this, mostly on the weekends.
Don't recommend weekends,
No.
personally. Just my experience.
Avoid, yeah.
It's
Get
just when everyone has
all
off,
the crazies, yeah.
and people think they're friendly, their dog is friendly, and it's not. And
Yeah,
that's
the weekends is when all the accidents happen.
Yeah. Avoid the weekends.
So he comes up the hill, and I wasn't alone when he came up. I was with my friend George, who has a lab puppy. I was throwing the ball to my guys. They're chasing it, bringing it back, being crazy. So in comes this dog, Missy, who was a German Shepherd. Too long didn't read. I guess this dog happens to live behind my cousin in Hanover. And sadly, they say my family that lives in Hanover feels bad for this dog. I guess like cops have been called before, like sits in the yard left unattended for like ever. And with German Shepherds, they need a lot of like.
Oh yeah, otherwise they're neurotic.
Yeah.
And messes and bite.
Yep. So I just want to preface that by saying, in this case, I'm pretty sure it wasn't necessarily the dog's fault, but the owner's fault, just for like lack of being a good owner, which I can confidently say this person's not a good owner. So they come up the hill, and I'm like, whatever. I've seen them before. They've played with us before. Hasn't really been an issue. So we're throwing the ball down the hill. The dogs are going down the hill chasing it. And I want to say like 15 minutes goes by. Couldn't have been longer than 15 minutes. Maybe 10 minutes. Mm-hmm. So what ends up happening is I do like a fake throw, turn 180 degrees, and do a throw. Mm-hmm. All of my dogs are actually pretty good. They don't get faked out very rarely. They're very like, border collies. They're staring at you.
They're waiting for it to leave your hands.
I'm going to watch every little muscle twitch, and it's incredible. So I throw this ball. They all go running. I have my camera, and so I pull my camera up to start taking pictures, and the next thing I know is I'm laying on my back, drop my camera, and my hands are just reaching for my back as I fall. Just this sharp pain from behind. I had no idea that Missy was behind me, but she got into that shepherd creep. Mm-hmm. She crept up, and when I threw it, she just bit me in the back. I was bleeding. So I dropped to the ground. My back instantly starts bleeding. I still have a scar to this day. Like, you can see every single tooth of her mouth. And I get up. Mind you, the guy's standing 5 feet away. The only other person there, again, is George, who has the lab puppy. And so I say, was that your dog that just bit me? And I kid you not, he literally looks at me and goes, yeah, it didn't look that bad. And I was just like, are you serious? So I run over to George, and I pull up my shirt, and I say, hey, am I bleeding? Did he bite me? Because the first thought that went through my head was, all right, maybe it jumped up on my back, and its paw, dug into me. And he goes, oh, yeah, you're bleeding. I'm like, son of a bitch. So I was like, yeah, your dog just bit me, dude. And he's just like, well, you should be fine. It wasn't that bad. And he starts to walk away. So I'm like, again, so going back real quick to the whole bullying thing, I can sometimes definitely have a short fuse. Mm-hmm. And so I knew I need to walk away or else I'm going to blow up because he's walking away. And so my wife, who is the quietest human being in the world, doesn't say a word, very just humble, quiet. She goes running after him. And he didn't want to give rabies info. He didn't want, just very, he was trying to get out of there. And it's like,
probably because his dog wasn't up to date.
Crazy. So it's like, dude, your dog bit me. Long story short, I had to go through, I ended up contacting the animal control officer just to say, hey, this happened. I saw him here again this weekend, so I didn't report it the day it happened. I should have. I'm very I don't want the poor dog to get, but I shouldn't feel too bad for the dog, for him potentially losing his dog in that scenario, only because he's not taking care of his dog. Mm-hmm. But I was like, oh, I don't want to ruffle. Yeah. So I waited, but then I saw him again, and I'm like, you know what? Screw it. So I email the animal control officer, and I don't know. I think they talked to him. I haven't seen him since, so fingers crossed.
Yeah. Hopefully that wasn't her second or third offense, because they get strikes too. So
yeah. What? So let's say I saw them again and he bit me again. What would, because I'm not the type where I'm not going to actively try to get that dog put down, because I know that she's not being cared for necessarily how she should be. Mm-hmm. I don't think she's got a good routine. Again, German Shepherds need so much. You need to, kind of like I was mentioning earlier, where all right, I want to quit my job and spend 24/7 with my dog. Like German Shepherds need to, they need to work. They need to be going.
They're not couch potatoes.
Yeah, if you leave them in the backyard, 10 minutes goes by and they're bored.
Yeah,
you know, never mind 9 hours.
Yeah.
You know, so yeah. In this case, I totally put blame on the owner. But say it happened again, what I guess.
The dog is kind of labeled as like a threat. So every town's different in their, you know, rules on how they proceed with aggressive dogs. Some dogs aren't just allowed to leave the property.
Okay.
Some dogs are put down. It's mandated by the town or the state or whoever is in charge. I don't know much about that specifically. My own Doberman growing up left my yard and bit another person's dog and came back into our yard. But that person's dog was in our yard originally, so it was like he said, she said, but my dog ended up biting their dog outside of our property. So the animal control officer that time came and was like, she's not allowed to leave unleashed or go in the front yard. She has to stay in the back. We were still able to take her for walks and stuff, but she has to be leashed and stuff like that because she's shown signs of dog aggression, and that could potentially, you know, progress to human aggression if that person is trying to defend their dog.
Right.
So I believe they have a strike rule, so 3 strikes you're out type of thing. I don't know 100% because I don't personally deal with it. And thankfully my dogs now are goobers.
Yeah. Yeah, your dogs couldn't be any more like affectionate. Yeah, because I wonder too if it matters. So like I was bit in Hingham, but he lives in Hanover. So I wonder like where that, like say it happened again. Yeah, I wonder like who or where.
I'm not 100% sure either.
It's something you just don't want to avoid, or you want to avoid.
I'm assuming they coordinate with other towns' animal control officers to do like a home check, welfare check on the dog, and then also obviously talk to you, and you probably get a fine of some sort. That's my guess. Not 100% sure again, but that's my assumption.
Like I could have probably taken him to court, but I'm not that type of like, you know, I don't want to. If I lost a finger, maybe, but like I was like, all right, you bit me in the back. I'm alive. I'm okay. Whatever.
Yeah, cool scar now, you know.
So then the other dog was my buddy at the time. She was a mix. I don't know what. She had all sorts of whatnot in her. But I should have known. And now, so this dog bit me 5 times. And it was back when, I want to say it was like my first year of doing this whole dog business. So again, very new to dogs.
You're learning everything.
And very new to like owners. How to deal with owners, how to tell owners they're wrong.
I still struggle with that daily, so
it's
it's
hard
very hard.
It's like,
because that animal is their baby, so they're gonna defend them even though they're not in the right.
Yep. So if this situation played out today, I've now got the experience and lessons to handle it correctly. I didn't see the red flag as much as like I'm saying. So I guess I'll just get into it because it's pretty obvious real quick. So it was my first time picking her up. This is my buddy. I was just playing like Dungeons and Dragons with. And I want to say she was like 4, maybe 5, fixed. Seemed pretty normal when I first met her. At the time, I was on the fence of whether or not I should get rid of my shock collars. And let's just say by the end of this experience, is what made me really like get rid of. I just threw them all in the trash.
What breed or mixed breed was she? Do you know?
Tree walker, hound. She had like 15 different. It was like crazy.
So she was
just
super
like,
mutt.
Yeah, super mutt. I don't necessarily blame her though. Again, what you put into your dog is what you're going to get out of your dog. So when I pick your dog up for the first time and you hand me a shock collar and say, if she misbehaves, shock her, it puts the fear of God in her. Now I will throw up a red flag and say, whoa, this might not be a dog that I want to deal with, because if you're so, oh yeah, just shock her, it'll put the fear of God in her. It's like, so, I was, green. So whatever, I'll take her. And I want to say I watched her for like 2 months, maybe a month, no issues. She was doing fine. And I never had to use the collar on her. So he would send her out with the collar on, and then he'd give me the remote. And I would just put the remote in my center console and just kind of leave it. Because even though I had them, I thought myself as being very responsible with them. Like, I was not one to really ever use the shock.
Sometimes just the collar being on too,
yeah,
the dog thinks.
Which is another reason I honestly stopped, because there was some psychological stuff I saw that was a little, like, where like you'd pull it out, a dog would see it, and you could just see instantly, like, that's not what I'm trying to do. So I was not shocking this dog. And one day, right over here in the living room, I was taking a nap on the couch, and her and Bailey started, they were wrestling for like an hour, and then, it just kind of escalated, and they started kind of going at it. So I broke it up, and Lakin bit me once on my left hand here. She kind of had essentially my thumb went into her mouth. I don't blame her for this one, because I got in there and I put my hand in her mouth, just trying to break it up. It's crazy. It's so quick.
Yeah, and that's when most people get bit, is trying to break fights up, and they don't even realize they're getting bit until afterward, when the dust is settling. Yeah,
so she bit me, and I don't think it was like necessarily on purpose. So I chalked that one up to, okay, it was an accident. I put my hand in the way, breaking it up. Neither of them had any blood on. I was the only one that really took any damage. I'm a big baby, so I started getting a little woozy. It was definitely not life-threatening, obviously. And it was definitely something where it just needed to be like cleaned and it'll heal. A couple punctures. Show you all the scars after. So I laid back on the couch with my hand wrapped up, fell asleep, woke back up, and we were good. Dropped her off, let them know what happened. Hey, they kind of overstimulated. They got into a little fight. I broke it up, and she happened to get me. So that's 2 bites out of 6. So fast forward a couple months. Again, super green. Okay, so green. I do nothing about dogs. I stopped at Dairy Queen, and I had Bailey, Loucas, and Lakin.
I see where this is going.
Yep. Bailey was up front. Lakin and Loucas were in the back. I put 1 ice cream for Bailey, 2 for them in the back. And I had the windows and my window down, all the other windows up. Loucas is just for anybody that doesn't know. So Bailey's my dog, Border Collie. At this time, probably a 1.5 years. Loucas is a Border Collie Jack Russell mix. Little guy. And I think he was about the same, about a 1.5 years. And then Lakin, the mix who bit me before, I think she's like 5 or 6. Maybe she was younger. So I get them 3. I get ice cream. And Lakin starts growling at Loucas in the back. And I had a separation between the front seats and like the whole rear. Loucas was like, I don't know, I'm not feeling this. So he like kind of came and sat like against that barrier. And I hear, Lakin. Now, mind you, I didn't have the shock collar on her. I took it off. I was taking it off when she played because she was doing so good and whatever. So now Bailey up front turns and she starts growling back at Lakin. But there's a barrier between them. I think Lakin sort of like lashed out towards Bailey. Again, barrier. It freaked Loucas out. Loucas jumped over the barrier. I mean, just kind of squeezing through like a mouse.
Yeah.
Out the window, he sits down because he hates confrontation. This dog, he was abused. He was beat by a stick. He was left chained to a tree to die at 6 months in the middle of the woods. They rescued him, and he's held on to that trauma. So he sees confrontation, and he's like, I'm out of here.
Yeah.
I got to give him so much credit because he didn't jump out the window and take off. He jumped out the window and sat next to and just waited. He's like, I'm safe here. So Bailey jumps over now. As he jumps over, so they kind of switch places. He's out the front window, Bailey's in the back, and Bailey and Lakin start going at it. So I throw myself, sort of like spring vault backwards over this. It was literally, so I've got this like 3 foot. You get them at Petco.
Divider fence.
It's like a big ring cage that you can like put your puppy in. Yeah. And so I cut that down so it was the width of my car. And put it. So I jump back over it. That thing's digging into my back. I'm hanging into the back of my Subaru. I'm trying to break them up. And I get bit 4 times. Yeah, 4 times. Bailey had no blood on her. Lakin got bit once by Bailey in the ear, and she had like a small puncture in the ear. Bailey has incredible bite control. She does very minimal damage. She's very calculated. Anyway, so I jump back, get between them. And the first time she had my left thumb in her mouth. This time now I'm trying to yank them apart. She's got my right thumb in her mouth, chomps down. I got all the teeth are still there. Then she chomps down. Then she gets my pinky twice in the same spot. This is all happening so slow yet so fast. I mean, this was over in like 4 seconds.
But it seems so
4
slow.
Seconds. Oh, but everything was... I could feel every millisecond. It was incredible. And so she bites once on the pinky, and I'm like, oh, that hurt. Bites a second, and I'm thinking, oh my God, I think I just lost the tip of my pinky. It looked like it went through a cheese grater. It was disgusting, down to the bone. You could see my bone. It was disgusting. Oh. And then she gets me one last time on my forearm here, just locks on. And at that point, I remember that was the first time I actually felt fear. Yeah. That's when it hit me that
she's getting closer to your face.
She is getting close to my throat, my face. She's moving up. It's not stopping. The first bite, I can see, okay, my hand was in the way. I'm trying to break it up. But then it's like, okay, like she's not stopping.
Yeah.
So I break them apart. They get separated. I'm gushing blood. I mean, it's just pouring down my arm. So I run up. Is
Loucas still outside the car?
Yeah, he's just sitting there. He's just sitting there the whole time. And so I get out of the car. I run up. And this is definitely where I failed. I wasn't even thinking of Loucas at this point. He could have been getting run over, and I wouldn't have even known. But I run up to the front window. I'm like, I need napkins. I just got bit. And the lady and she was sort of like, it took her like 10 seconds to like, she was like, what? And like, I hold my arm up, and there's just blood everywhere, and she's like, ah! So she gets me a bunch of napkins. I'm like, whatever. I call the owner, and just say, hey, your dog just bit me like 4 times. I'm coming to drop her off. So I race to his house, and get to his house. It's just his mom there. So his mom, she's sitting on the front porch with me. I'm laying there like, I think I'm gonna throw up. Like I was just feeling like absolute crap. I'm looking at my pinky. It looks like it looks like it's just gone.
Oh.
I'm like, I think my pinky's gone. And so then I dropped her off. Their neighbor came over, who was like a nurse, checked me out, said, no, look, you're gonna be okay. Like nothing's permanently messed up. You're gonna be fine. That took the pressure off a little.
It's just the adrenaline, you know.
I know.
So amped.
I was like sweating and like I was ready to faint. I wanted to pee. I was all over the place. So I finally go to social hospital. It's like $400 something bucks. He said he'd like pay me back. He never paid me.
Yep.
So I was just sort of like, yeah, we're done here. And that was tough. That hurt. But it also really, for the first time, I was like scared of a dog, and that messed me up for a little bit. You know, obviously it was my mistake. I would never do that now. I would not get ice cream for a dog that, you know, shocked the shit out of her. It's like, yeah, I'm not gonna put food near that. But yeah, that was an experience and a half. That really put into perspective that like dogs can mess you up and it can happen fast.
Yeah.
So that put a lot of respect. It changed how I looked at them a little. You know, that like, not that I need to be afraid of them, but I just need to know it can and it will happen. So, ever since then, I've always tried to have like a plan for like, if this happens, what do we do? That way, when that happens, it's not like, oh crap, what do we do? It's like, all right, to follow the procedure.
It's the same goes with every animal, though. You should always have a backup plan. Mm-hmm. You should always be aware that every animal has a mouth.
Yeah.
And it's going to use it at some point to defend itself, even if it's just out of reaction, scared, fear, defense, fight or flight, you know. Some dogs choose to fight, you know. Some cats choose to fight. Some lizard snakes choose to fight. You know, they choose to defend themselves. And, you know, that particular situation, you know, she got in a fight beforehand, and behaviorally she wasn't in the right mind, obviously. Yep. And she chose to fight.
Right.
Fight your arm.
And I wonder, too, like how much... So say... This is me sort of guessing. Not necessarily... I don't think this is scientific, but this is, I guess, my hot take. When you have a dog and you bring it around other dogs, you need to be very mindful and attentive of how and when you correct them. If a dog goes up to another dog and they start wrestling and you perceive it as being mean, but in actuality they're playing, and you shock your dog because, oh, he's being rough.
That's going to turn into a fight.
They're going to now look at dogs. Oh my gosh, you know what I mean? And
even in that moment when they're wrestling and they're playing and they suddenly feel pain, they're going to react to that.
Exactly.
So they're going to react. They got bit, probably, is what they're thinking. Right. So they're going to react and bite back or run. You know, fight, flight, or flee.
Yeah. So, and with the shock, or even I've noticed if a dog's about to go after another dog, even like grabbing the collar and like getting that restraint, just sort of any sort of surprise, just
it turns. Same with like leash reactive dogs. It's that holding back that's amping them up, you know. Right. So it's just more like controlling your dog in the situation, trying to put them in situations that, you know, setting them up for success.
Right.
Don't set them up for failure. Don't bring a aggressive dog to a dog park.
Exactly.
Where there's off-leash dogs who are, will be fine, but they're, playful, intrusive. They don't really understand. So that lab puppy, say, comes up to like a doodle, because they're famous for biting things. Doodle's standing offish, but the puppy doesn't understand.
Right.
It's going to get bit.
Yep. And I feel like a lot of people, when they get in that situation, it's either because they don't necessarily know dog communication, or they're not paying attention.
Exactly.
Because usually it's pretty obvious. Like, you'll see the dog stiffen up.
Oh, yeah.
The hackles go up. But, like, you can kind of tell, like, a lot of people get freaked out when they hear barking and growling and dog communication, but they totally miss out on the visual aspect of,
you gotta pay attention, or else you're gonna miss the actual cues to a dog fight.
Right. If
there
all of a sudden you hear it and that's your cue to break it up, it's way too late. Like,
I will say there are some unpredictable dogs, and those ones shouldn't go to those type of situations if you know.
And usually I feel those are the quiet ones too, where they just, all of a sudden
They
it's
just
like,
snap.
whoa, what the heck happened? It's 0 to 100.
Oh,
just,
my friend Sabrina, we did a mass removal on this dog, and
a what?
a mass removal.
What's that? Oh,
So
like a
growth, cancer, stuff like that. I think this dog had cancer. We did a mass removal on this dog, and it came in it was fine for everything for that. Good for the mass removal, the post-ops, checking in, making sure its TPR was okay, so temperature, vitals, heart rate, respiratory rate. Came in for its recheck to get the sutures removed, or staples, I forget what it had in at that point. And they did everything with this dog. Took the sutures, staples, gave it meds in the office because the owner was struggling, and then out of nowhere, it jumped and bit her face.
Oh.
So she had a flap, like her nose. It fractured, not fractured, I guess I should say, because that's bones, but it broke 2 of her teeth, biting her, and then a flap of her skin on her nose. And it was just, he gave no warning, nothing.
Right.
And they weren't prepared because he was quiet, he was fine for everything else. He was good for his neuter and, or not neuter, sorry, mass removal, but out of nowhere.
I always say, like, be very
mindful.
Yeah, you don't have to be nervous.
Exactly.
But just, if you know a dog is quiet, or you're watching a dog and it's not communicating, like, just be mindful.
Exactly. If the dog is not communicating, that should be a warning.
Yeah.
If it's communicating, good, you can tell. But if it's not communicating, that should be a warning. That should be a sign.
Frankie, my dog, the dog I watched, Frankenstein. Oh God, you should hear, like, sometimes she'll sound like a demon, but it's like, and people get freaked out, but she's never bitten a dog. She's never drew blood.
She's just loud. Some dogs are loud
and
players.
She communicates, like, I always say to people, especially when they get nervous, like, oh, come on, Missy, we gotta go. It's like, no, look, this is good. She's talking. Mm-hmm. She's letting you know how she feels, what she thinks. Mm-hmm. There's not gonna be as many surprises compared to, like, just that quiet, sulking, kid in the corner who's just plotting. It's like,
I know. Plotting and thinking about every little thing. Yeah. When am I going to strike,
Right, yeah. So I'd say worst experience as a dog person is probably getting bit, but not because of the physical pain, but because it can make you second guess. In my situation, I did do stuff wrong. Mm-hmm. But if you're in the situation where you might not have done anything necessarily wrong, and it's just the dog, I can see how that can really screw you up, where it's like, what did I do?
Yeah.
The other awful part about this that I didn't anticipate, I don't know why I didn't think of this when I started, but when I look 15 years into the future, I see myself happy from the experiences I've had with this whole adventure. I don't know how happy I'll be, though, in 15 years when this pack is not this pack. There's going to be a day where I get so many compliments at the dog park at how well behaved my dogs are, how amazing I am with my dogs, and I hate thinking about the fact that this pack won't be forever.
Yeah.
But at the same time, that's what makes it so special, is that I have it in this moment.
That you'll grow with them.
Yeah. You know, like, I've got them now. I need them. And they won't always be physically here with me, but I'll always have, like, the lessons they've taught me. But that trips me up just thinking about, like, all right, like 10 years, 15 years from now. And I know it's going to be a one by one where, like, you know, I lose a dog and I gain a dog. But, like, just the thought of, like, it's going to be this whole new group. It's just kind of weird.
That's my biggest fear as well. I think that's my biggest fear ever, is that my dogs won't live as long as I will. I'm like, I wish they could live longer than me. So,
but that's what makes it very special. That's the
biggest part, is that they're gonna hold the biggest part in your heart.
Yeah, because I don't know if we're the only animals. We're definitely not the only animals that understand death. I think dogs can understand death if they see it.
They definitely do.
But I don't think they know.
I don't think they understand it to our degree.
Yeah. So
I think they understand it in the moment, and then as time passes, they're okay. Yeah. While we're always remembering, you know, past, present, future.
And so for us, it's like, I feel extra special. You know, it's just, it breaks my heart.
Yeah. I think there's like a saying that's like, your whole life might not be the dog, but for your dog, you're their whole life.
Right.
And that gets me every time.
Yeah,
so,
yeah.
Well, let's talk about emotional. And I know it's probably considered worst experiences, but emotional wise, not physical. Pack members that you've lost.
Yeah, so the first one, well, let me think. Yeah, I think Chloe is the first one. So she passed away last December 28th. I watched her every week, couple days a week. Love that dog. She was like Bailey's best friend. They did everything. She was all black border collie lab mix. And I mean, she was like Bailey's shadow. Like, they were best friends. It was beautiful. So the owner, Laura, she went away, I think, to New Hampshire or Florida. She went somewhere for a couple weeks during this time, Christmas, New Year's time. She had Chloe staying with her mom in Boston. And I want to say like the 26th of December, so like right after the day after Christmas, I think. Her mom brought Chloe to me to watch for the day. I watched her. And then she came, she picked her back up, brought her to Boston. And then the 28th, she escaped from grandma's house in Boston and was hit by a car. And that's it. So I don't know, and I've never dared to ask for any details there on what exactly happened.
Sometimes it's better that way.
Yeah, based on, so another dog, Loucas, we'll talk about in a minute. He's escaped a few times, and it's been very parallel with Chloe. The dedicated owner's away. She's with someone she's not super familiar with in a location she's not, it's not home, it's not mom. I think she just got super anxious and sort of took off. I don't know if it's take off looking for mom, take off because I'm just too anxious, but something, set her off in a similar way to the few times Loucas has escaped. So Fortunately, for the time being, she's the only pack member I've lost to death. Although I had a close call with Loucas. little shit, Loucas.
Oh, Loucas.
But then I think after Chloe, I don't think it was before. It might have been before Chloe. I was watching. I'll just call her Elle. She was a Catahoula. She was cool. She was a bit rough. Not a bully, but she could be a little like just
That's what their breed is too.
tough, you know.
They're meant to hunt
bossy,
boars, so they gotta be,
like,
fearless and
she'd run at Bailey at full
rough.
speed for a body slam, and it's just like you can't body slam. So I started actually using the collars on her to get her to like stop body slamming, and it got to the point where I'd pull the collar out, she'd stop doing what she would stop body slamming. I would see, okay, I pulled the collar and she's doing now what I want, but it's at the cost of like her psychological. I could just see.
Now she's nervous and thinking about it.
She's fearful.
Yeah.
She's watching and she's keeping a distance and she's looking at me sort of like. I couldn't approach her and get it on her. She'd avoid me.
Yeah.
So she stopped what she's doing. So it's like, oh, a success. But it's like, yeah, but the cost was way more than the. So with her, it sucks. So I go to the starter's neck every day. 2 times a day, sometimes 3 times a day. I might not know everyone there, but everyone knows me, and most people know my dogs.
Crazy pack guy.
Yeah. Hey, you're the guy with all... Yeah, I know. So, with Catahoulas in general, I know that they can be a little, like... They don't necessarily like a lot of dogs. They can be a little, like, independent. She, with me, was very good. She would never get into a dog fight. Her with her owner, she would attack, especially Doodles and Huskies, but any dog that came kind of close to the owner, she would just like almost like be ready to kill them. And it was a situation where the owner would never like say anything. Like say Doodle comes up, she would like bite her in bite the Doodle in the face. The Doodle would run off. The owner would be like, "What the?" And she would just like walk away. It's just like you can't do that.
I hate that at the dog park, and I've personally experienced that with like a husky that attacked Shiloh and a Roddy that attacked one of my foster dogs. Attacked them out of the blue, and then they just like walked away. I'm like,
yeah, it's like, hello.
Hi.
So I already knew that when she's with the owner, she gets kind of defensive. The owner just had a baby. She's extra defensive. But again, with me, no issues. Never had a single issue. This is so ridiculous. I can't even believe this like happened. It's just ridiculous. So there's a guy there, Dan, who has 2 little, I don't even know. They're like little Shih Tzu things, tiny little.
I think I've seen him.
Little dogs. Yeah, he carries a bunch of treats. And he knows me. He knows the dog. I see him practically every day. I wasn't there. This must be around the same time as 11 because it was the holidays. I was at like my parents' house for like Thanksgiving dinner or some crazy thing. And I get a message from Dan on Facebook. Hey, you know Elle? She just bit one of my dogs. And I'm like, oh, what the hell? The owner took off. And he sends me a picture of her in the Jeep pulling out of the dog park. And I'm thinking, oh, why do I have to get it? Why does this have to involve me?
You're the middle person.
There. I'm eating dinner right now with my family. And so basically, what he says versus she said. I'm not there.
Yeah.
Hey, Elle bit again, this dog must weigh like 5 pounds, 7 punctures, I guess. Had to go to the vet. I guess she just ignored it, took off, which again, in my experience, checks out. I hate to say it, but it's the truth. And I think she was thinking like, oh, let me just take off. I'll get away with it, whatever. Well, he knows me. He knows her.
Yeah.
He might not know you, the owner, but he knows that dog.
Yeah.
And so I said, hey, I got a message from so-and-so about, Elle attacking this little dog. Did this happen? And they kind of played dumb. The mom was playing dumb. She was playing dumb. And so I eventually got to the point where I was just like, hey, I can't take Elle anymore. Like, I gave you his number. I gave you his contact info. I told you, hey, you should get in touch with him. Figure it out. You didn't. Every time I've asked him, he says, nope, I haven't heard from her. I can't take her.
It becomes a liability.
Like, I can't take her if that's how you're, like, because in this situation, you got very lucky. He didn't come after you. He didn't press charges. He didn't, make it this huge deal. He could have.
He could have made you pay the pet bill, and I bet that would have been pretty expensive, especially if you went to the ER. I know they're crazy expensive, so.
Yep. So she got very lucky, and so I had to say to myself, like, look, if that's how it's going to be, I can't take her in the future. And
exactly, because if that happens to you, is she just going to walk away and you're going to...
And unfortunately, they took it the wrong way. They were like, well, Ellie's really nice. Like, I know she bit. And it's like, no, it's not about her biting. I can handle a bite. Bites happen. But if you're not responsible...
Be a responsible owner.
I can't help.
Be a responsible owner.
I can't help you. Yeah, I just can't help you. So that was tough because it's like, here's a dog I enjoy and I've worked a lot with, I've bonded with, but I've got to separate from.
Yeah. Not
because of the dog. So that one hurt. Baxter, we talked about a little bit in the last episode. I love that little guy. He's a nutter. But he just kept drinking salt water.
He wanted to, be down at the bottom of the ocean, where the fish is.
He was just in the middle of the ocean. Just glug, 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 glug. And so, I don't want him to die.
And they can get salt water poisoning, too, so.
I heard they can go, brain dead from it. There's all sorts of...
It's just all the salt that absorbs all the, fluid in their body. And
so they get, dehydrated.
They can get dehydrated, and then the diarrhea, which makes them even more
literal
dehydrated.
Jet ski. It was like...
My grandmother's dog, Kona, she used to drink salt water. She's mature now, but it just flowed. It flowed. It was like a faucet. It flowed.
Yeah, it was a few times it happened in my car.
Oh.
But I was a pretty good sport. I got it set up to where I can just rip it out real quick.
Yeah, you have the play mats or something right in there.
And so the owners gave me diapers. And I feel bad because we were trying to resolve the issue. I think they think I stopped taking Baxter because he pooped in the car a lot.
A lot.
So they gave me diapers to prevent it. But it really is just I don't want him to die.
Exactly. Dogs will die. Dogs can die from that. So
especially a bulldog. So then there's Loucas, who recently went missing in Minnesota. So he's the one that I'm in their will. If anything happens to them, I get the dog. But if the dog goes missing, I don't get them. So it's an interesting trade. So in this case, Robin went to Minnesota. I think her mom's not doing well, which is unfortunate. So she, thought, all right, let me bring Loucas, keep me cheered up, might cheer mom up. So she, I think, was staying at her brother's house, which Loucas has been to before, and Loucas does know her brother, but not like he knows mom. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or like he knows me. So Loucas is at the brother's house. the brother and Robin leave to go visit mom at the hospital. I think the brother's just dropping her off because they can only do one person at a time. So he goes, drops her off, comes home, opens the door. Lucas is gone. He just right out the front door. Yep. Let me go. And he was missing for 24 hours ish, a little bit more. So what was scary about that was he doesn't know the area. And like that night, I think it was 10 degrees. And he's not a dog that can really, he gets cold quick. So it was just kind of scary thinking like, might freeze to death or get eaten. That was really my concern. I was not worried about him getting run over or anything like that because I know he doesn't seek out that kind, like loud noises. Again, he was in the back seat, growling happens, he's like, get me out of here. So I know he's not gonna look for anything that's necessarily gonna put him in harm's way. Fortunately, he found his way back, I think.
Do you know the exact story, or?
That's all I really know.
He's home.
Yeah, he's home.
Home and safe.
It's not the first time. So one time they were at a gym. He was in the car and the sunroof was open. He got out of the sunroof and he looking for his two moms. And then the first time he got out, little Houdini here, he was at his house in Weymouth. Chris and Robin, the two owners, both had work that day. But one of their sisters was there, I think with their wife or girlfriend. And so they let Lucas out to pee in the morning, and Lucas was like, see, I'm looking for my mom's. He like ran down 18. So they live up.
Oh, no.
Yeah, they live up. For anyone that's familiar with Weymouth, if you know where like Stockholders, do you know Stockholders?
Oh, yeah. I love that place.
Yep. He went from behind there, past the Dairy Queen on Route 18, like way up, like couple miles. It was crazy. And then eventually he made his way to like Palmetto Park, and Chris eventually found him when she came home from work. She was riding around a couple of like the power line trails on her scooter, and eventually he picked her scent up and
That's crazy.
came and
That's
found
so
her.
very lucky.
I know. But like, so in all these, so the two with Lucas and the one with Chloe, there's something there where it's like just unfamiliarity and panicking and getting worried. So just, I guess, be very mindful when you leave your pets.
I know Daisy wears the whistle fit. Do any of your other dogs?
So Lucas had one right after that first incident where
Yeah.
their sister was there and he escaped. They got him one because they're like, oh, we don't want that to. And then he's been so good. And then their neighbor got one, Henry, who I watch. He's a golden. He lives across the street. And it started like the two whistles got like all messed
That's
up or
weird.
something. So
Yeah.
they're stopped working. So they haven't used it. And go figure, then he's in Minnesota and missing. It's like, ugh,
I know. At least bring it with you, you know?
I know.
I have the Phi collar.
Yeah, I
for
want to get
Shiloh.
like one of those for like all of my pack members.
Even just like a couple, just so you can have them. If you want to sponsor me. But I actually really like it because it tracks his steps for the day. And I like to try to keep an eye on how much he's getting a day. And I really do think it's a good idea for pet owners who have pets that like to try to run. Even just, tracking their exercise, especially if your dog's a little overweight. It's a good idea. I got it for Shiloh because he's a Velcro dog. He'll never run away from me, but I like to keep a track of his steps. He's a Borzoi, so they're supposed to exercise a lot. But
Fast and far.
for Fable, she is not Velcro. She will go.
Is she? Yeah. And she's still young. So.
She's still young, so she wants to stay close, but she's like getting a little too ballsy for her own good.
Bit curious.
I know. So I think it's a good idea just to have for your dogs, just in case you travel somewhere with them. You can have it. There's a bunch of out there. The Apple tag, the Whistle Fit, and the Phi collars are all really good options. Just want to throw that out there too.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, I'd recommend, especially if you know your dog's a little flighty.
Yeah, especially for like new dogs, rescue dogs, foster dogs, you know, just something to have.
Yeah, puppies are unpredictable. It's
puppies
like,
are a little easier because you can catch them.
Yeah.
But
some of
them.
Bailey was too fast, right from.
Fable's a little fast, so I had to pretend like the other day she got out on me and not even out. I let her out the front door because I was putting them in my car. Shiloh goes right in, and she usually follows them. But today she was like, "I'm not going to the woods," and I'm like,
"See ya.
What are you doing?" So I chased after. I chased towards her, but not at her because that will stimulate your dog to run away.
Yep.
So I kind of feigned to the side, you know, and then
chase you.
And then I turned around and started running back. You know, it's like a game. You know, Don't make it a game. Don't make it a negative experience that you're running at your dog. You don't want them to run away. Make it a positive experience, even though they took off on you. Make it positive that they're coming back to you, type of thing.
Yeah, I saw one guy at the dog park once. His dog, he kept saying, "Come, come, come," wasn't listening. Now, mind you, the dog itself is going to every person but him. It's having fun, whatnot. But finally, he gets the dog and he starts literally just smacking it full force in the face.
That's why
in front of everyone. It's like, dude, he's not going to come to you.
No, that's why your dog's not going to come to you.
You know, like
he's like, someone please tell me, adopt me.
I always tell people, I know, he's like, take me home, please. I always tell people, like, if your dog does something that you want it to do, like, throw it a party. Like,
oh yeah, throw it a party.
Celebrate
treats,
like it's.
Keep treats on you 24/7. I know a fanny pack. Oh my god, end of the world. But
yeah, I wear a little man purse. Like,
it's
got all my leashes. It's got all
my. I just got a new one, and I'm like, I love it. But like anything the dog that does is positive. Treat it. Give it a bunch of cookies, chicken. Yep. Put rewards in it that it makes it worth. Say your dog's not treat motivated, but it loves chicken. It loves beef. It loves cheese. Bring that with you.
Cheese is a huge one, yeah.
Cheese is a big one.
They die for that stuff, yeah.
Shiloh's like, it's a party whenever there's chicken, you know. He's like, I'll focus on me whenever there's chicken. So Fable doesn't get treats other than when I'm training with her. So that's like the big thing for her right now. So reward them when they do good things. Don't
100%.
When they're doing bad things, don't make it a negative experience with you. Make it a positive experience with you.
You gotta be proactive, not reactive.
Exactly.
Towards
yes.
Yeah. So just because you mentioned a minute ago, running at a dog versus that just reminded me of a horror story I had. So I'm just gonna jump right into this one.
Tell me.
Yeah. I've got a bunch of horror stories. Luckily, most of them don't involve me. Some of them do. But. So this is probably the worst thing I've had to deal with. I'm going to be very honest, very, very open about the situation. So Tucker, little beagle mix. I think beagle and like Frenchie maybe. He's really small.
I think I may have met him.
But very flighty.
Has he gone to starters before?
Yeah.
Okay, I think I met him.
And like anytime I try to get him to come near me, he's just very distant, very like skittish. So I was taking him. The owners are like family friends. I've known them since I've like been born. So like, yeah, I'll take him. First day I pick him up, he poops in the back of the car. I'm like, oh, what is that smell? And I turn around, he's eating it, and I'm like, oh no. It's like we're gonna have a hard time.
I hate that.
Yeah.
That's my least favorite in the ER when you make a dog that eats its own shit and then it eats also something that you need to make it vomit. And then it vomits all of that up and then tries to
eat it.
Try to eat it, yeah.
Why?
Exactly. That's what my question is. Why?
Yeah, that's not tasty. So even in like the car, I could notice he was a little, like putting distance. And I think I had him, it might have been either a couple weeks or a couple months with very little issues. He was tough to get into the car when it was time to leave. But up until this point, I never really had like that big of an issue. So this particular day, it's snowing out. Everybody's having fun. He was playing with the little Boston Terrier, Boston, that I have. We were up again on the hill in the middle of the park. Mm-hmm. And so we were there maybe 2-3 hours. Time to go. Usually around like 12:30 I wrap up. And so I start heading down the hill. Now, typically I don't need to leash any of the dogs because for some reason, well, not for some reason, because I care about them, therefore they care about me. They listen real well. They go right out the path, right to the car, hop right in. As we're heading down the hill, I look back, I'm constantly just counting the dogs. And it's like, I just see him up on the top of the hill, his little tiny bot, and I'm like, oh, no. No, we're not doing this right now,
today.
Are we? And so he's watching us, and it's just like, all right, he's not coming. So I go up with the leash, walking towards him, not running, nothing like crazy, just walking. And he starts going, the way I'm walking. He turns around basically and is walking away because he's like, yep, nope. So I'm like, oh, geez. And this is why you always got to have a plan. So luckily I had a plan if this was to ever happen. So first thing I need to do in that situation is get the pack to the car because I don't want, right now it's one dog not listening and potentially in danger. He's not in danger at the moment. He's in the middle of the dog park. Because they're on a peninsula,
thankfully, that area is pretty secure.
Yep. There's no like cars running through the middle of it.
Thankfully.
Yeah. So it's like,
there's only 2 exits you can get out of there, so.
Exactly, yeah. So he's up on the hill. I'm sort of like, all right, there's not much he can get into. Let me get them to the car so that nobody else gets any crazy ideas. And I know that they're safe in the car. So I go down the hill towards the front entrance. And at the front entrance, again, for anyone that isn't familiar with this park, you can either exit straight along like the pathway, which brings you to a little gate, or you can kind of head off left through the woods, which brings you through like this back entrance to the parking lot. And that's the way I always go.
Same as well.
Yeah. So right before I enter the woods, I just kind of look. He's still up on the hill. He hasn't moved an inch, but I can see he's watching us. And I'm watching him, and it's sort of like this couple seconds of, all right. So I go into the woods, get them all in the car, run back to the entrance of the woods. No Tucker. Oh, fuck. Oh, no. Where did he go? Where is he? How could...
He's playing a game with you.
Yep. So one of the women, that's another dog walker, Erin, she was there. So I got a leash. I go running up the hill, the middle of the dog park. And I'm like, hey, did anyone see Tucker? Blah, 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 blah. I'm describing them. Oh, yeah, I just saw him. He was on the hill. He's not there now. All of a sudden, I hear this very distinct howl. And I know every single one of my dog's, voice. It's weird. When you spend enough time with dogs, you start, I don't even need to be looking, and I know who's barking at who for, what reason. You just, learn their language when you spend time with them like that. So I hear this beagly, baying, ooh, and it's coming from basically the highway, to put it bluntly. So if you walk out the front entrance, you got the parking lot, which is maybe if you walk 40, 50 feet, you then hit the main roadway, which is 4 lanes of 50 miles an hour, which people shouldn't be driving 50 miles an hour there, but they do. And so that's where I hear the howling coming from. And I'm just thinking in my head, oh my God, he's going to die. And so I start running from the hill towards, the bridge on Route 3A. And as I'm running, one of Erin's little dogs, this little black dog, starts chasing me. And I'm just kicking myself in the ass because I'm thinking I had to stop so that this dog would stop chasing me. And I'm just sitting there waiting for this dog to go back to Aaron as I'm thinking, shit, I gotta get to Tucker, but I can't bring this dog with me. So I had to wait for, that dog to go back to Aaron, and then I go booking it again. And luckily he was not up in the roadway, but he was off the roadway in the woods that's next to the road. And so what I did is, as I'm running towards him, I pulled out my phone, called his owner. They live pretty close to the dog park. One of them was home. That way I can get one of them to come over, because obviously if he's not going to come out for me, he'll probably come out for the owner.
Yeah.
And so what I had to do was put myself in a position of being between. So I know he's avoiding me. I have to put myself in the way of danger / where I don't want him to go. Mm-hmm. So I went up. So it's 4 lanes of crazy traffic. Mm-hmm. And then on either side, it's like banking slopes, like down. So he was sort of in that banking slope. So I put myself on the high ground. I'm up here. I know he's not going to come up the hill towards the highway because I'm up here. And so he just kind of hunkered down, and we just waited for mom and dad to get there.
That's always smart, too. Don't chase the dog.
Yeah, I'm not going to chase him.
Either they think it's a game or they're trying to avoid you.
Right. And so in this, it's like you just got to know. And so, so I put myself between, him and danger, and we just waited for mom to get in. The second dad got there, he came running right up, and it was like, like this huge weight, just like, and I feel bad because they still want me to take him, but and not even necessarily bring him to the park, but like watch him here. But I'm just so like traumatized that it's really hard. So again, in that situation, like don't chase the dog.
Don't chase it.
You want to.
You want to so bad. I wanted to chase her so bad. Yeah. Because I know down the street is a busy road, and I'm like, if I chase her, she's going to go, with my luck, she will go down to that busy road. Yep. You make it a game for them if they're that type of dog, or you don't chase them at all. Mm-hmm.
So that was probably my worst experience as far as like running my business. Mm-hmm.
I think they should replace the gates there, honestly.
Yeah, they need
with like the double door. Yeah.
And they also need to like out on the sides,
exactly,
through the woods,
put through all the way.
Yeah,
I think that it would benefit everybody.
Yeah, because actually Ted was killed there, I think a year ago. It wasn't a dog I watched, but a dog so his owner John. Mm-hmm. Ted was a border collie, and
he has the new one, right?
Yeah, Charlie.
Okay.
Yeah, the Irishman, or British. I always call him Irishman. He's British. Curly, big, giant dog. I can't think. But beautiful dog. Listened so well. Like, I was sort of jealous of their relationship, honestly. Just beautiful bond between the two of them. He would ask Teddy to sit. He'd sit. He'd walk from the hill to the dumpster and back, and he'd still be sitting there just waiting. But one day he, I think, got wind of like a scent. He crossed the highway that we're talking about. Mm-hmm. Fine. But on his way back, just boom, instant. Luckily, instant, no suffering. But just something that
it's still shitty.
It sucks. There's no...
That's the worst.
Like, so unexpected. Like, all right, if your dog has cancer and it's diagnosed, at least...
You have time
not at least. Like, that's still a shitty situation.
You still have time to kind of cope.
Yeah. Like, with that, it's like... I can't imagine.
Yeah. You don't even get a chance to say goodbye.
Yeah, that's the hardest. That destroyed him. So his kids ended up getting him a puppy and delivering it to him, little Charlie. And
I've met this guy. He's really cute. I met him when he was a tiny little baby.
Yeah, he's a little border collie and
he
cattle dog.
Beautifully.
Yeah. So
he's goals. I will say he is a goal to, the amount of obedience he does with this dog. Yeah. But I think it's due to the fear.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Big part due to the fear. And it's funny because The only time Charlie doesn't listen to him is when I'm there. He's obsessed with Banjo. That's his best friend. So anytime I'm there, he just takes off and finds me. And luckily John knows it though, so he's not like worried. He just knows, oh, Andrew's here. So that's always tough with that place, because it's like if there was just proper
fencing.
If there's proper fencing, and again, I don't know, I wasn't there. I don't know if he's pretty attentive, so I don't want to
really good.
fault him. But there's always.
But I didn't know him before Charlie.
Before Charlie, yeah.
Before Charlie.
With not necessarily with him, but potentially with like other deaths. It's like, okay, someone might not have been paying attention, and like a gate would have just prevented that.
Exactly.
death.
At least like a double door system,
Yeah. Yeah. There's
or
not even a closing. Gate. They can just walk right out.
Yeah. A full close on either end, could prevent a lot of deaths.
Yeah.
And, even when I've gone there, there was a Shiba Inu that was close to the highway, but I couldn't get close to it because if I got closer, that breed's known to not be trustworthy as strangers. It would have ran into the road.
Right.
I just pulled my car up and at the entranceway and, sat and waited until someone came and the dog finally went to its owner. But it was like within 10 feet of the highway, and I was having a heart attack, and it's not even my own dog.
I've had a few situations.
I'm like, I'm gonna have to take this dog to the ER. Thankfully, there's one in Weymouth, but
right.
I don't even know this dog, and it's probably gonna bite me. And
I know.
It's a Shiba Inu. My dogs are all amped because they're like, it's a dog. Why does it do it?
Yeah. So yeah, always pay attention to your dogs, even if, no matter what. There's no reason to get caught up in conversation, I feel.
Yeah.
I feel a lot of people go to the dog park both for them and the dog. And it's very easy to get caught up in conversation.
I go for my dog, so I don't talk to people often.
Exactly. That's me too. I'm literally there to literally watch the dogs.
Exactly.
But I get so much joy out of watching them.
Exactly. I literally go there and I do laps. I don't know if you've noticed, but I just do laps and laps and laps. Because I'm like, I got to get my miles in. I got to get for myself for one and then for my dogs too. And they're doing double, triple what I'm doing there. Because a whole loop is a half a mile. So I'm like, I'm going to get 10 miles myself, and they're going to get 12 miles, 13 miles, whatever they're getting, running around being goofballs. And I think that's how I ended up meeting you, is just
walking
around in circles, and Shiloh being like, take a photo of me.
Take a picture. It's like, okay, you're beautiful. And when I go there, so I haven't really had many people sign waivers or anything. I really should.
You probably should for liability reasons.
Luckily, most of the people are super good people and they understand. I'm very lucky, and I got to stop giving into my luck. Yeah. But there's definitely that expectation when you're at an off-leash dog park of potential injuries. Mm-hmm. Not that you should go to I see so many posts online. I don't go to the dog park anymore. My dog got attacked.
You're probably there on a Saturday, Sunday.
Yeah, most likely.
Go on a weekday. But
you should always have that expectation that it can kick off.
Yeah.
Not that you should expect it to, but you should know it might. If you go to the park and you think that just because your dog is friendly and listens somewhat, again,
doesn't mean you should go.
Yeah, I've seen people, they'll go and keep the dog on the leash, and that can cause
because they're dog
issue.
Reactive.
Yeah.
Leash reactive, sorry.
And then it's like, well, your dog's blah, blah. If you're going to go to an off-leash dog park, you need to...
Don't bring your intact female.
I know. There was a dog walker the other day with a
Don't bring it.
Dog in heat.
So you can bring it intact female, but don't bring it in heat.
Yeah.
And then
That's a
also
nightmare.
don't bring a male that's aggressive when a female is in heat, just to be safe. You know, you never know the situations.
And to all those posts of like, oh, Stoddard's neck, there's so many fights, blah, blah, blah.
I saw one just recently too.
Yeah, like I've probably, like I said, I go there like twice a day. I spend like 4 or 5 hours there a day. The amount of incidents that I see, especially between my guys and other dogs, is pretty like 0%. But there's not a whole lot of altercations, and generally when there is one, it's because either
it's a weekend.
Yeah, it's a weekend. People are either not paying attention, or their dog should not be there. Most of the time, it's people not paying attention.
Yeah, I walked into a guy bringing his aggressive dog there, but in a basket muzzle.
Yeah,
and I'm like, cool, but you're gonna ruin a new puppy's experience.
Right.
I understand you're trying to, like, you know, desensitize them to the situation, but don't do it at the expense of another dog.
Right.
You know, do it in a situation where it's controlled. Your dog's on leash. His dog was off leash.
Yeah. Yeah, just because you get a muzzle doesn't mean you can't still pummel or cause fear. Yeah.
Do it if you're going to make a positive experience, do it in a situation where you can control it. So a leash. On Leash Dog Park. There's one literally 2 minutes down the road, Abigail Adams Park. It's on leash only.
Yep.
Take it there, walk a few laps. Every time your dog sees another dog, give it a cookie.
Yep.
Make it a positive experience.
Right. Yeah, that's...
Don't obviously give it treats when it's acting aggressively on that leash.
Yep.
But if it's having a good, you know, reaction.
I've seen that so many... One time Bailey got... A few times Bailey was attacked. I don't like this guy. And, you know, every time... Oh, well, it's because she gets in the crouch. My dog doesn't like it. And anytime she'd go after Bailey, he'd, oh, it's okay. And he'd be petting her, and it's okay. It's like,
don't reward your dog for bad behavior.
It's like, what are you doing? So, yeah, like the amount of time I spend there versus the amount of incidents I see is pretty, like, extreme, which is a good thing.
But when there is incidents that people make a huge deal out of, you know?
Yeah, I've seen minor things where it's the people are blowing it over. And then I've seen, I mean, there was one couple, I think they were, again, don't go there on the weekends. This was a weekend. This was a Saturday. Because there's a million people.
And people think their dog is friendly and it's not.
Oh, this
or it's
was
protective of a certain person and that the person's there. I'm like...
Yep. Or, in this case, it's a rescue I just got yesterday, and we know nothing about it. It knows nothing about us.
I will say a rescue is the only excuse for 1 or 2 times. Don't use rescue as an excuse. Use your, you know, availability to work on that rescue. You know, I people come into the vets all the time, and they're like, it's a rescue. And they say it for 5 years straight. I'm like, okay, it's only a rescue until you get it.
Yeah.
Work on it.
Rescued it.
Yeah. Work on it. The first 2 times it's causing an issue, that's its only excuse. You know, after that, I want to see you working towards bettering the dog. Yeah. Don't just use an excuse as like a reason why, like,
to like condone
the behavior. Yeah. Exactly. Like, work towards bettering the dog. Work toward, I mean, people are like, I don't want to go to behaviorists because they're booked 6 months out. But in the meantime, you could be doing stuff to try to better the dog. There's a whole bunch of techniques and things you could do. I don't want to use drugs. I'm like, drugs aren't the worst thing. There's a lot worse things than having someone be attacked by your dog, a dog being attacked by your dog, a child being attacked by your dog. You know?
So is that drugs in the sense to like calm them, like a...
Exactly. You don't need like something to knock them on their ass. You want something like... just like a glass of wine, you know.
Just kind
that's how I explain.
Take the edge off.
Exactly. That's exactly how I explain it. I'm like, it's a glass of wine. It takes the edge off. It makes training so much easier. So when your vet tells you you probably should do gabapentin, trazodone, there's a whole bunch out there. Like there's what's the human one that people use a lot? I'm trying to think of the word.
Benadryl? I don't know.
No, not Benadryl.
Dramamine.
Starts with Z.
Zyrtec?
Not
No, that's an
Zyrtec.
allergy.
Um,
Zoloft?
Zoloft.
Is it?
Yep.
Okay.
I mean, don't give
Like
your
an
dog your
antidepressant?
own
Yeah.
meds, but obviously,
Doggy Zoloft.
yeah. Prozac, that's another one.
Prozac, yeah.
Don't give your dog, again, your own meds without discussing with your veterinarian dosages and stuff.
Right.
But there's so many meds that make training easier for you and may be recommended by your behaviorist for
And that's something...
taking the edge off the dog so it doesn't feel like it needs to be constantly anxious.
Yeah.
We have dogs come in and we call it fear-free meds. And it's called that because for a reason, it's taking the fear from the dog. Right. You know, it's making it a little bit more mellow.
Yeah, with the drug, I feel like there's no... Like with any tool, like a shock collar. Sorry, what's the correct term? Training
E-collar.
E-collar. I call them shock collars because I mean, hey,
that's what they do.
Like that, or even like a muzzle, which I'm super for muzzles. Banjo wears one a lot. There's definitely a certain aspect of like psychological effects that, especially with
psychological
a shock
control,
collar, right? Whereas I feel like with meds, it's not something that they're having to react to. Like you're gonna react to a shock, you're gonna react to not being able to bite through a muzzle.
Exactly.
But you're probably not gonna react. They're definitely
to
not
a
gonna
situation.
Think, like, oh
you're
my god,
like,
I'm on drugs.
Yeah.
You know?
No, they don't think like that. It's more like that's happening.
Just kinda
whatever. You know, it's more like a calming effect.
Okay.
Nice couple glasses of wine.
Yeah. Yeah. So this couple, they have a brand new rescue. It's like they've had it like a day. So A, they know nothing about it, and B, it knows nothing about them. They bring it to an off-leash dog park. What do? They let it off a leash. What does it do? It runs up to Teddy, who is there with Rich. I don't know if you've seen Rich before. Anyone at Starter's Neck pretty much knows him. In the summer,
What's
he's
the dog. I know the people.
So
dogs.
he doesn't have a dog. He's got no dogs.
He'll
bring
older
dogs.
Guy
Yeah, he's
with
often
long hair.
Shirtless. Nope.
Oh, short hair, yes.
Short hair, shirtless.
Shirtless, yes.
He'll lay with the dogs.
Yep.
So he doesn't have dogs, but
Didn't
he'll
one
bring
of his dogs pass away, and that's why he still goes or something like that.
He brings like his neighbor's dogs and stuff like that. Yeah. So he's there with this tiny little like 4-pound dog Teddy, who's such a little sweetheart. And this rescue goes up and it decides Teddy's lunch and bites him in the face. Rich is covered in blood. This dog is oozing. It's screaming. I think it had to have like all sorts of surgery to like fix its snout and stuff. And so he exchanges numbers with them real quick and they take off. Well, they gave him a fake number. Nothing
and
he
Rich
can
is
do.
such a nice guy too.
Yeah.
Like he means so
They give him
well.
a fake number. Never seen him since. And so now all that liability, all that cost, all that everything is now on him and / the owner of that dog, which
that sucks.
Sucks.
He's a really nice guy.
Yeah.
He means well.
So again, going back to the always have a plan. If that happened to me, I'd be calling that number to make sure it works because I need
before they leave.
Yeah, I need your rabies info.
Yeah.
It's not a matter of like, hey, send me it if you get a chance. No. You're sending it to me. And if you give me a fake number, blah blah blah, I'm taking even
get their freaking license plates.
Yeah.
Like
I will
take
a picture of them. Take a picture of the dog and them. Like, don't be afraid to stand up for yourself.
Don't be afraid to stand up for yourself. Stand up for your dog. If you're afraid to stand up for yourself, stand up for your dog because that dog probably means more to you than anything.
Right. So in that case, a simple, quick, just like, let me dial it would have like been like, whoa, like how come neither of your phones are ringing? Why did it go to voicemail?
He is older too, which sucks.
Yeah.
He probably didn't understand.
And in that situation, like, again, he was covered in blood. Like this dog was bleeding crazy. And it's like, it is chaotic. It's very easy to lose track of like
time,
what's going on.
Happening. Same like a car accident, treat dog fights like a car accident, get the info, call the cops.
Yep.
If you have to, if that's the type of situation and,
like what if the dog died?
Talk to the people around you. You want witnesses.
So again, that sucks. There's a million things that could have been done better that would have prevented that.
Yeah.
But nobody was thinking.
No.
You know?
And dog bites, that's obviously not like the first thing you're thinking about your own dog.
Mm-hmm.
Also think about your own dog in sense of, what are these people going to do to make up for that?
Right. And luckily for me, I've never had to deal with anything that extreme where like I've got a dog in my care and it's like, oh shit, I think it's gonna die.
Yeah.
For the most part, like I've had a few, like Elsie the other day, she had to have 6 staples in her paw, seashell.
Oh yeah.
I'm pretty sure it was a seashell, just kind of whoop, slit her like a
and
razor
that happens
blade.
all the time. Just like ice,
Mm-hmm.
some dogs run across like a pond that's full of ice.
Mm.
My grandmother's dog Kona sliced her paw open.
Really? On ice?
On ice. Ice will do it.
Just like a
It
sharp
wasn't
little...
a smooth ice thing.
Okay.
She was running across the pond. Be careful letting dogs run across ponds.
Yeah.
There are dogs that will drown when the ice is too thin.
Yep.
But she was running across the pond and sliced her paw open while I was watching her. So
Those
obviously,
bleed too, like the paws.
oh yeah, and it wasn't even like the paw pad. It was like the dew paw, dew claw pad. Pad. There we go. Words. And that was bleeding everywhere, and she had to be in like a sock for a couple weeks.
Yeah. Baby.
Well, yeah. I'm like, this isn't worth a vet visit. I will do this at home.
Yeah. So like in a situation like that, it was like, by the time and Elsie was fine. Like she was running around, being crazy, being herself. So it was like, hey, here's what happened. Like I'm on my way. Are you home? Yeah, I'm home. All right. She just needs to go to the vet. Like nothing crazy. Elle, she had it once. Same thing. Like, although not to get super, I don't want to get crazy political here. Elle's family was pretty anti-vax. Poor dog. They got her at like 5 weeks. They took her from the breeder. They blamed it on all the vaccines, but I'm pretty sure her health issues as a puppy was due to, they're into all sorts of interesting remedies. So they did nothing other than wrap it, and it took a couple months for her to heal. Whereas Elsie, they brought her to the vet, 6 staples, a week later, she's back.
Exactly. That's all it takes.
Take care of your dogs. Don't be afraid to go to the vet.
Exactly. And there's nothing wrong with certain holistic stuff, but don't treat emergency or really bad situations as a holistic thing. It should go to the vet.
Yep. What else have I seen?
What about Ben?
Oh, Ben? Yeah, I forgot him at the park once. He's kind of Houdini. So he's got doggy doors. He's got a back doggy door and a front doggy door. The back doggy door leads out to a fenced backyard. The fence is probably like waist high, like 4 feet, plastic. Never escapes from it, won't jump. Could totally clear it, never cleared it. Mm-hmm. His front doggy door lets him out to his front porch, which is locked. Or not locked, but it's a door. Mm-hmm. Well, he learned to open the door.
No fun.
So he'd go out the doggy door to the front porch, open the front door, let himself out, go on adventures, and then come home. And I think their neighbors said, hey, like Ben's been going on adventures, just so you're aware. Yeah. And so now they have like their doors all like locked up. So he is a little bit of a Houdini. Like he's definitely a wanderer, like and so I was at the park. Hey Tuck. I was at the park. We were down at the beach and it was time to leave. So we left. But Ben stayed at the beach. And I left 100%. I owned up to it. And I'm driving home from the dog park. And anyone familiar, I get to about Lowe's. So it's not super far from. Yeah. I get a phone call from Sandy. Oh, hey, you rubbing on the mic? And so I see Sandy's calling. And instantly I knew. I look in the back seat and I'm like, shit, I forgot Ben. She's like, yeah, I just got a phone call. He's down on the beach with some guy. She was okay because like she knows I'm like, I'm right in front of Lowe's. I just left. I'm so sorry. Like I was very honest with her about like that I screwed up. So I end up banging a U-turn, flying back. I jump the curb. I take a lad, jump the curb, and go into the parking lot.
I've always thought about doing that there.
Yeah, I did, because I was like, fuck it, if a cop's gonna pull me over, he's gonna pull me over, but I need to get this dog. So I get there, and yeah, he was fine, and she was fine. Like, again, I was very open. Like, I could have totally been like, yeah, I'm at the park, I'm just on the other side, but like, I was like, no, I was just on it. I'm always honest with the owners. So luckily, no harm, no foul, but it happened. It happened. I'm sure it won't be the last time either. But since then, I've learned to always count the dogs before you leave.
Yeah.
How many did you come with? How many did you leave with? Yeah, I mean, I could go on forever about crap I've seen. The one thing I'll say I've learned out of all the incidents I've seen at the dog park, as far as like dog walkers go, I'm going to specifically speak on dog walkers. If you're looking for a dog walker, don't just
go with the first one you see.
Yeah, don't even take necessarily reviews or like what your friend said. Go and watch them. Watch how they work with the dogs. Watch how they
That's a good
handle
advice,
the dogs.
really.
Yeah. Out of all the crazy things I've seen.
And a dog walker should let you do that. If they don't let you do that, then
Yeah.
that's sketchy on its own.
Yeah, like literally just go spend an afternoon with them and just see how they work with the dogs. And say to yourself, is that something I'm comfortable with or uncomfortable with? And I feel like that'll weed out most issues you're going to have, you know, sending your dog off. So, yeah. Well, we're at 2 hours. Do you want to continue, or do you want to do a part 2, or do you want to...
I'm down to continue.
Okay, awesome.
If you think it's going to be too long for people.
No. I mean, I got plenty more to share, so...
I know, that's why I'm like,
yeah,
shit.
So what are you interested in? I guess out of all this stuff that I've got, what...
let's see. Photography. Let's talk about photography.
Sure, yeah.
When did you start and why?
So I started with my cell phone, just a Samsung Galaxy.
Just like I do, you know, iPhone.
Just
I'm like,
boop, boop, boop. Hey, look, your dog's having fun. And I've always been like a perfectionist. I don't want to, like, if I send you a picture, I want it to be the best it can be. If I send you I'm always just trying to like be the best I can. So I was like, all right, cell phone's okay. Especially like the new smartphones, like they take some crazy good pictures.
Yep.
Especially like with auto, you can just like boop. But I was like, let me try to get into something a bit more beautiful. Beautiful in the sense of like breathtaking. You crazy boy.
Sorry, I'm just messing with them.
That's fine. So I was like, all right, let me get a GoPro. Like they're cheap, they're small, and you can get cool footage with them. So I strapped one to a long PVC tube, and I'd hold it like ground level and just...
I think I've seen you.
Yeah, I look like a weirdo. I was just walking around like... And I was making music videos with that. And I very much enjoyed the music videos because the GoPro could do like slow-mo footage. And when I first started watching that slow-mo footage back, I started learning so much about dog behavior.
That's when you start to pick up on things.
What you think is a bite isn't a bite. What you think is mean isn't mean. It's incredible. So I was like, wow, I want to keep making videos, but I want them to be better than the GoPro. So I got this, spent like $6,000 on a crazy video camera that's pointed at you right now.
Yeah, I know. I'm like...
And started doing like cinematic dog music videos. Really starting to get into like the artistic aspect of it because I knew... Okay, let's record. I knew that I was going to learn, but I also wanted to like pursue the art. So it was like this dual purpose of like, I want to make beautiful art and I want to learn what the hell dogs are saying and doing.
I'm assuming this is the Canon.
Yep.
Okay,
So
EOS.
the EOS R6. Yeah. So basically I got a Blackmagic Pocket Cinema 6K, and that just does video.
Mm-hmm.
It can take pictures, but it's not really good at taking
Meant for
pictures.
pictures,
Yeah,
yeah.
it's really dedicated for video. And so the music videos, the turnaround time was like a week. And so I was like, I need something that'll just fill the space a bit quicker. So I was like, let me get into like photography. So that's why I got the Canon. Was mostly for pictures. And the Canon R6 is very good for like animals. It's got like eye detection and all this
That's
crazy.
nice,
Yeah. And it's been a hobby, and like it's blown up into like I'm going to like the Bark Club in Weymouth.
Yeah.
Like
I've gotten a couple photos. So.
yeah, like I'm doing all these doggy events, and it's been something that I've gotten a lot of positivity out of in my life. But it's also been a creative outlet for me.
Yeah.
So it's something I'm very passionate about. But it's all people always say, oh yeah, we got a professional photographer, and I'm like, I'm not I don't make my living off photography. It's just a hobby.
What's your favorite camera of all of them so far?
Favorite camera?
Or video camera? You
Yeah,
know?
I really like the Blackmagic.
Is that one?
That yeah.
Okay.
It taught me a lot just from a like audio visual aspect, like because the footage comes out and you'd look at it and you'd be like, why'd you spend so much on this camera? Everything's like gray, there's no color. But that's what lets you like bring all of that out.
Yeah.
Like if you take a picture and the blue's too blue, there's nothing you can do about it.
Yeah.
If it's like sorry for all the photo people who know what I'm talking about, if it's a JPEG, if you take a JPEG, you can't really edit it.
Yeah.
The blues are the blues, the whites the whites. But with these cameras, they come at such a flat image that instead of it being processed, you have to do all the processing. And so I've just learned how to, I don't know, work with light, it's been a hobby, something I think I'll probably do forever, but not as like a profession, more just fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What events have you photographed at, I guess I should say?
Yeah, so I did most recently yesterday. I had a real estate agency that hosted a like sip-in shop. They had a bunch of these vendors. Like
And
one.
did they have alcohol and I wasn't invited? Like,
yeah,
what
it was
this?
amazing. It was awesome. They had like all these like vendors that like had like one lady, she took lobster traps, the rope from lobster traps, and she makes doormats out of them that like won't blow away. It's just all sorts of crazy like little crafts like that. And so I went, took a bunch of pictures, bunch of dogs came, I took a bunch of dog pictures. I've done sled dog race, which was insane.
Yep.
Just absolutely crazy.
You mentioned that a bit at the last podcast, but
the beauty, the reason I love the pictures and the video is because when I slow it
it's so
down,
raw.
yeah, you get to see every little muscle and how the dogs, they're not even thinking, yet at the speeds they're running, the way every little muscle twitches and they work in unison, like
it's beautiful.
It's unbelievable. So that was eye-opening, just seeing the intensity of those dogs. The Bark Club, they're a dog shop in Weymouth. One of the only shops I go to. They're the best. Huge shout out, Bark Club. Go there if you're from Weymouth. Check it out. Get your dog groomed and washed.
I still need to visit it, but I know the person who owns it, and she's badass. So
yeah, lesbian couple owner. So like you can like support multiple facets there. You get the dogs and the LGBTQ. But yeah, they're amazing. So I did their grand opening. I did photos, and then recently I had a Christmas like Grinch.
I wish I made it.
Yeah, the Grinch photo shoot, which
I had to get these done instead, and run the dogs right beforehand.
yeah. So they throw awesome events. And then there's a indoor dog park, JB's Indoor Dog Park.
I've never been there.
Yeah.
Is it like a nice, like a big
It's
area?
pretty
or?
cool. It's not necessarily, and this isn't me giving them a negative, but it's not something I'd necessarily bring my border collies to because they need to roam and like. But if you've got a puppy,
it's good.
Great socialization.
Yeah.
If you've got a dog that will run off, again, this is indoors. If it's raining out, if it's snowing out, you don't want to deal with that. It's perfect. So they've had a few, like they had a Great Dane meetup, an Australian Shepherd meetup. I think
I've seen your photos from
that.
that.
So like I'll go to their events and so all these events I've done, I just go to for like, I don't even charge. I don't care about really. Yeah. A lot of photographers probably look at me like, what the hell, man? And I'm just like, I don't know. I'm just taking
living
pictures
my best
for free.
Life here.
Like, mostly I think because I enjoy giving back to the dog community because they've given me so much.
I've appreciated it myself.
Yeah.
So
like I'm just like, let me just give back because all these people are so like amazing. So I'm just looking forward to like more and more events.
Yeah.
That's something that I absolutely love. Just how happy people are to see such beautiful pictures of their dogs. You know, it makes me feel appreciated. Again, going way back to the beginning of our conversation. When I was at BU helping Dr. So-and-so with their keyboard, and he's like, come on, I'm a doctor in surgery. I need them. It's just like no pride, felt like I had no purpose. Whereas now it's like, I'm making all these people happy. I feel like I've got a purpose, you know? So the photography has just helped me learn and grow my dogs.
Yeah.
You know?
Now I'm curious. What's your favorite and least favorite dog breeds to photograph, and or your favorite versus least favorite breeds yourself? Yeah,
so I'm a sucker for working dogs. Any type of working dog.
Yep.
Count me in. Anything drooly.
You don't want a big mastiff look in your face, you know? Your camera.
Nope. I'm good. Doofies. I like them.
From afar, you know?
I absolutely love taking pictures of drooly dogs because at a really high shutter speed, you can freeze the drool and it just is like, ooh.
I think there's a dog named Willow.
Great Pyrenees.
She loves Shiloh, and every time we run into her, I think I've seen her with you guys a couple times. I don't know if she's specifically with you or just walking with her.
Usually she likes to hang out with us, yeah.
I've seen her a couple times, and I'm like, look at her living her best life, but that drool, man.
So, like, I love taking pictures of the drool because it brings out, like, character.
Yeah.
But I don't want to deal with the drool. But definitely, like, working dogs, hunting dogs. Like, Gunther, the Springer Spaniel I watch. I absolutely love watching him, like, try to get ducks.
Yep.
He's never going to get them out in the ocean.
He's going to try, though.
Yeah,
He's
he
very
tries.
best.
He'll get like 5 feet, then they'll fly away, and it's like, Gunther, come back.
I know.
The little dogs, hit or miss with me. It really depends.
On the dog itself.
Yeah, I wouldn't say, like,
I'm the same way. I'm very particular about certain small dogs. Like, some Chihuahuas I like, some Chihuahuas I don't.
I'd say I'm more of a personality versus, like, breed.
Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah, because even my 2 borders.
Yeah.
Polar opposites.
Oh, yeah.
Same breed. When I look at them, it's like, yep, they both want to work. They both have the stare. They both have similar obsessions. But personality-wise, one loves the snuggle, one hates the snuggle.
Oh, yeah. I have Jetta, who's my angel baby, but she's, you know, more of like a daddy's girl than for me. And then Shiloh is a mommy's boy, but he's crazy, you know? Yeah. And then Fable is just like perfect, you know? I can't say anything bad about her because she's still a puppy, but... Yeah, they all have even though they're similar... They can be very, very different. So, for me, it's definitely like I don't like. I had like I've mentioned in the last one, I had a real issue with like, and this isn't specific to doodles,
But a lot of doodles are crazy. But I don't like when I've got my pack and they're all calm and a crazy dog comes into the pack and they're whining and they're all like, they just get it kind of like, it's like, will you bring your dog out more often, please? Because it's just getting everybody riled up.
Exactly.
So yeah,
What's
definitely.
been your dream dog? I was curious.
Dream dog, yeah. I've wanted as a angsty, edgy teenager who was bullied, the idea of a Czechoslovakian wolf dog was always like high on my list. It's like, let me get this cool dog that's pretty much a wolf, super badass, it'll scare everyone, but like, that's why it's the perfect dream dog.
I feel
for me, because realistically, it's not going to fit in with what I'm currently doing.
I was like, I want a wolf dog, but I ended up with wolfhounds, you know?
Yeah. Like, I think there's just some sort of, like, primal aspect of, like, thinking back to, like,
they're
Neanderthals
primitive,
and, like
they're
saber-tooths.
We'll give it that.
Like,
They're badass.
So that, the Czechoslovakian wolf dog. But
sadly, illegal in Massachusetts.
Oh, are they?
Yeah.
Okay.
Wolf dogs are illegal in Massachusetts.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've seen some pictures, too. They're big.
Yeah. They're
Scary.
cool.
Yeah.
And I've been involved in like rehab incidents where a person's had like a wolf dog or a coyote dog or whatever they want to call it. And, you know, legality reasons, it's not the greatest situation for them or the dog because it ends up getting put down or put in a sanctuary.
That's
So
sad, yeah.
more likely than not,
I imagine they're
euthanized.
really tough because they're so like wolfy. Like,
Exactly.
Like you'd honestly.
Exactly. Don't call your Husky a wolf, by the way, because that's going to get put down.
Yeah.
In Massachusetts, at
interesting.
least. Yeah.
Huh.
Be like, it's a wolf dog.
Yeah,
It's so cool, you know? And then here's the state, Mass Fish and Wildlife. I'm here to put down your dog because it's illegal to have it, you know?
Oh, that's scary.
It happens a lot, more often than thought.
Wow.
Not. And they're like, wait. I was just trying to be cool, you know?
Yeah.
It's not cool.
Yeah, I've always wanted one, but it's realistic, yeah. I think there's even like a wait list, but it's something, dream. It's the perfect dream dog. I'll never have it, but I'll always dream about it.
If you move out of Massachusetts, you could, you know, Florida, Texas, wherever they keep like the large cats or whatever.
Yeah. And real quick, actually, I want to go over like, because I mentioned always have a plan. Mm-hmm. So I've got a few plans written down.
Okay, let's hear them. Yeah,
so let's say you've got a dog that ran off like Tucker, and that's only happened once. Mm-hmm. Don't want it to ever happen again. Mm-hmm. But I know it potentially might, so I always have the plan. So again, get the rest of the group to the car. I want them to be safe.
Correct.
I called the owner on the way to the car.
Also correct.
Grab a leash, treats, get to his
Exactly
last known
what you should
location.
do. Yep.
And if he's flighty instead of a wanderer, don't chase him. Instead, put
Yes.
yourself between them and danger.
Exactly.
Put yourself where you do not want that dog to go.
Yes.
Yep. Now, if a dog did not run off, but he's kind of like misplaced, my plan there is to just kind of wander around until they find me. Happens all the time, and they always end up like linking back.
Yep.
A lot of the dogs like to like
Circle
live in a
back.
bubble.
Yep.
You know, like
They circle.
yeah, they know where I am. They might be in the woods. I can't see them.
I've had that happen with Jetta and Kona, my grandmother's dog. Jetta ran off after a deer at Southfield. She's a hunting dog, so she's gonna go after deer.
And a puppy, so no recall. Like not the best recall.
She's really good. She is really, really good. I cannot give her enough praise. But deer, something about them, she's
Just right in their DNA, I bet.
Yeah.
You know?
she has a lot of southeastern breeds, which is hunting breeds in her, so I'm guessing that's why I wanted her so much, even though she's a rescue.
Is that recording? I don't even know if this is recording anymore.
I hope so.
I know, me too.
If not, we got this one. There's a red bubble. No, there's no red bubble. Red bubble. Okay.
Sorry.
I mean, we're not at 3 hours, so fingers crossed, you know.
It's all right. We'll edit it in post.
But she's amazing. Like I said, she's my angel baby. She's perfect in every single way. Raising up her as a puppy, hunting with her, perfect. Deer, I don't know, wires crossed somewhere.
Yeah.
She's got to chase them. She's got to get them. She's
got
to
sight, or is it when she picks up on their scent?
Sight. So down in Southfield, which is like Hingham, Rockland, some other town, all meeting in one. It used to be an old naval base, and I run my dogs there a lot, except for during the summer because the ticks are ridiculous because it's tall grass.
Yeah.
During hunting season, I go down there a lot because it's cooler, no ticks. We had a deer literally run across our path like 50 feet in front of us, and she went off, and there was no way calling her off. And Shiloh was just a puppy, so he didn't know any better, but he chased after her. And I thought I was gonna lose her for good. I was like, there's a train station like right down there. I'm like, she's gonna get hit by a train. She got caught up with a deer up on a hill, and it kicked her with a back leg, and she fell down the hill, but she went right back up the hill and chased after it, and I was beside myself. I was going crazy, and I was sprinting as fast as I could, and I got to that area, and she comes out wandering out of the woods, limping. I'm like, oh my God, she has a broken leg, she has a broken back. That deer kicked her right in the fucking like side. Like, oh my God. Thankfully, I literally I carried her all the way back to the car, and I set her down so I can unlock my car, and she starts walking around fine. I'm like, fine, you.
Yeah, they're big babies a lot of the time.
Child was like, oh my God, this is the best time of my life. Everyone's running, I'm playing. We're running around, we're running back to the car.
Thriving on the chaos.
Exactly, he's thriving off of chaos, and I'm like having a meltdown. But I was like, she was fine, and I thought I was going to lose her. At my own instincts.
Right.
I was like, knowing her, she would chase that deer to the end of time. Thankfully, and not thankfully, she got kicked by the deer, and she was sore.
She's like, I quit.
Yeah, she was like limping and whining and sitting down and not wanting to walk. And I was like, I'm going to have to go to the ER. And at the time, I didn't even work at the ER, so I was going to get charged extra. And I'm like, it's so much money. I only have insurance on Shiloh right now because he has long legs and he's breakable. And I'm like, I'm going to get insurance now. Oh, man.
Yeah. So, excuse me. Yeah, so it's always important to have a plan,
Exactly. Have a
dogs
plan.
Run off. It happens.
It happens even to the best trained dogs.
Yeah, you want to know, though, what you're going to do before it happens.
Exactly. What is your plan?
You don't want them to run off and then go, crap, what do I do? Then if a dog's injured and if it needs to get to the vet, like I knew Elsie when she cut her paw, she's going to need to go to the vet. The seashell.
ASAP.
Yeah, the seashell just went whoop. But I knew it wasn't like life-threatening. I know, okay, you're not going to die.
Right this second. If it's not life-threatening, still go to the vet ASAP.
Yep.
But no, it's going to be a little bit of a wait. It's about cut paw. Actively bleeding, we'll see it sooner rather than later. But if it's not actively bleeding, it's just sliced open. It's going to need stitches. We're going to get it done. Bring a book.
Exactly.
Bring a book. Please.
Tablet, whatever. Yeah.
Don't bother us.
Yeah.
Otherwise, we're not going to get your pet done.
Yeah, so with that, it's sort of just get her home, make sure they know what's happening, and we'll just get it taken care of.
Exactly.
Now, if it wasn't her hitting a seashell, let's say it was a dog that attacked her, I kind of touched on it earlier, make sure you get all the info.
Get the info.
That's the number one important thing.
Get all the info, because your dog can have internal trauma rather than external trauma.
Yep.
Even if it seems like your dog's okay, your dog could be bleeding internally. And that's what I see a lot of, too, is a lot of pressure wounds, which are bleeding internally. So a lot of hit by cars, they may look fine on the outside, but they're bleeding internally.
Right. Yeah. And there's not much you can do with.
So there is things, surgery, try to help your dog. But, unless you get it there right away.
Right. Yeah, and that's kind of so I've never had a dog in a life-threatening situation.
Thankfully.
My plan would probably be similar. Get to the car, get it in the car, get on that phone while you're going, and just
Exactly. Just go.
Be honest, be responsible.
Exactly.
That's it. So, awesome. Well, there's a million more things we could talk about, but we do have to wrap it up at some point.
So we don't bore you guys.
What we will do is we will save some of the stories we didn't go through, and we'll save them for a later time.
Yeah.
So
Till next week.
awesome. Perfect. Thank you.
Night.